Hi everyone, thank you and welcome to my Wednesday Live at 5, where I like to introduce one of our amazing community champions who we are so grateful to have. Garima is here today to talk about, she's one of our business analyst professionals, so it's great to have you here with us today. So just by an introduction, if I just let you know that Garima is a community champion, as I said, for business analyst. She's a really experienced Salesforce professional and she's based in Dubai. How lovely. She's got a career that spans across consulting, solution design, business transformation and leadership. And throughout her career, she's worked across multiple industries and helped organizations leverage Salesforce to improve customer experience, streamline operations, and drive business values. So, alongside her professional achievements, Garima is passionate about supporting the Salesforce community through mentoring. Another thing we're really grateful to have you for knowledge sharing and helping others navigate their career journeys. What I particularly admire, I think, is your commitment to continuous learning and to giving back, which we all know is so important. And you understand the success in Salesforce ecosystem is not just about the tech, but also about something that is really close to my heart, which is the relationship building, the community, and helping others succeed. And that's where we sit together. We align absolutely. But Garima, welcome. It's wonderful to have you with us today. Before we dive in a little bit and start asking you some questions, would you like to give a brief introduction on you and see if there's anything you can find that I haven't already said?
Thank you for the introduction, Lynn, and thank you for having me here today. So my name is Garima Bhandari. I am the head of functional engineering at Horizontal in Dubai. I'm originally from India, and I moved to the UK in 2015, worked with Deloitte and IBM, and then moved to Dubai a few years ago. When I had my son and I realized I need to be closer to my roots, so I decided to choose Dubai. Not that UK was bad, but it was just far from India, and I was missing the grandparents a lot, so we decided to move here. Apart from my work, I'm a mother of a 5-year-old, soon to be turned 6, and I a passionate community builder. Although I want to do more, I don't get enough time to really help the people out there in the community. But that's definitely a personal item in my list that I want to keep on giving back, and I think Supermums is a great way to be able to give back to people, to help and support people and actually make an impact. Apart from that, I am a new swimmer, so I've really started enjoying swimming, especially with in the hot Dubai weather.
Is that in the sea or is that in a swimming pool?
Both. I started in the swimming pool and then we started going out in the beaches, but we only go in the winters. Right now it's summer, so I only keep myself restricted to the pool. But growing up, my father kept asking me to learn swimming. I never was serious. And ever since I've learned it, I'm like, oh my God, what was I missing? So yeah, this is my new love for swimming.
Part of your continuous learning.
Yeah. Other than that, sometimes I also create YouTube videos, and I talk about AI, tech, my experience in consulting and all of that. That's still my way of giving back to society. But personally, this is who I am.
I love that. And, I think the community building and the sharing your knowledge is so important. And I think it's really great for personal growth as well. And I love the fact that you found something outside of tech to learn. I've always swam. I grew up on the harbour where I live. I still live now, and I love to swim in the sea. It's a bit colder probably here,
Yeah.
but I think you need to take a leaf out of your book and start swimming properly, because that is something that I enjoy too. But starting at the beginning, I suppose taking it back, I know that you've given us a little bit of an insight, but how did you discover Salesforce and what attracted you to the ecosystem in the beginning?
It was accidental. I was in India. I started with Infosys, and I finished my initial training, and I was looking for project for work. And back in the day, when I was like in my early 20s, I was hungry for work, but there was no work. I was employed, but there was like no projects or no client work or nothing that I was assigned to. And one fine day, I meet I meet somebody who I happen to know from my hometown, and they were like, this cloud computing, this Salesforce, this is a new thing, and I actually got interested. I went back, I read about it, and I was like, wow, this is something I'd like to do. I fought with my department to release me so that I could start learning Salesforce and get some, tangible work. It took me almost 8-9 months to do that. But it was that inner feeling I got that, yeah, I think Salesforce is for me, and that's when I started working on client projects and I started learning about it. Back in the day, we didn't have trailheads, or we didn't have this vibrant community. We had help documents, and they were like long PDFs that you had to read. So that's how I started. Again, it was
Well
accidental,
done.
like I said, and I really had to fight my way hard, my way out to get into Salesforce.
That's really great. And I think it's a testament to you. I speak to many people every day, just like you. A lot of them have moved from India to the UK. I mean, I speak to lots of ladies that are mums in the UK. And I think I love the culture. It really does align with my values as well. So I've spoken to some absolutely lovely people that have also done similar to you. And whilst you're in Dubai, I mean, that's lovely as well. I went there once. It was really nice. But looking back, I mean, was there a particular moment when you realize this is going to be more than just a job? This is going to be something that's going to be for a long time career? I mean, I know that you said that you spoke to someone else, which word of mouth is often something that gets you into Salesforce for sure. But what would you say was that pivotal moment, the particular time where you went, I love this. This is definitely going to be for me for long term?
When I started, because I started into development, so when I started writing code, and when things
Wow.
started working, right, when I used to compile my code and it
Yeah.
ran and it could print something, like that was the earliest victories that I had. But something real, and on the way, I got married, and I was just having a normal corporate life. One fine evening, when I was out for dinner with my husband on a Friday, I got a call from someone in a British accent, and it was on a call. I couldn't understand what they're talking about, but there were two things. There were two words I could remember, which said interview and Deloitte.
Wow.
And
How
and I was like, oh my
exciting.
god, I'm getting interviewed by Deloitte. And I was trying to get into their interview process. I got rejected a couple of times. That was by Deloitte USI. And I was like, maybe somebody is playing a prank on me. Who knows? And then the interview process started. This call was this call happened in January, and I think I finally joined them maybe in September. So it was like a period of long 9 months. I had like a series of interviews. They were not sure. Sometimes they were asking for more interviews, and I was like, just I was a 25, 26-year-old young girl who did not really know a lot. And I was like, okay, if they want another interview, I'll do no matter what. But when I actually got the final offer letter, and when I got the tickets in my hand, I think that's when I realized that this is real. And my first flight to London, I think, was an experience I can never forget. The photograph that I took at the Heathrow airport was, and I asked a taxi driver to do that for me as a memory, and I keep looking at it again and again, and that was all because of Salesforce.
Oh, and you know what? I think this is something that I always say to people. There's always that moment, isn't there, that embeds. I think for me, I often say that I was previously working in property, so I changed my career up. And my pivotal moment, I think, was when I was stood in Salesforce Tower in London, and I was looking out above everyone's heads, and I could see the gherkin at the building. And you know, I live in Devon, so that's quite big for me too. Devon in the UK is the other end of the country. But it just, you know, you just go, wow, this is crazy. What happened? So yeah, so I completely understand, you know, where you're coming from on that. But looking back on your journey to date so far, what would be some of the biggest milestones, do you think, that you've gone through, and you know, those moments in your career that really defined your future?
So the first one definitely was when that fight with my department got over, and when I finally got transferred to another department so that I could work. As a young woman, I was like hungry for work.
Yeah.
And I think that's, by the way, that's my son in the background. So this is like the perfect example for super mums.
I love the son, so that's fine. Right to your son.
Yeah, but I think the first fight I had was like, I still remember how hard it was for, you know, a 22-year-old girl fighting with, you know, someone having experience more than my age, to get to work, you know, something tangible. And that was the first moment. And then, like I said, the second one was the flight I took. And then after that, there were a lot, because my career track changed. So initially, I was a Salesforce developer who was working at offshore. But then later, I started speaking with clients on a daily basis. And I started working with them. I started advising them. I started telling them, no, this is not the right solution. You should try doing something else. And I could make an impact in ways I had never thought of. um, Bear in mind, it was culturally very difficult in the initial days, and I was, you know, Deloitte made me travel pretty much everywhere in the world, and my first few assignments were in Belfast in Northern Ireland, and I could barely understand what people were saying. And s- you know, in the UK, they ask you, "You all right?" when you meet them for the first time, and it's a kind gesture. They're just asking you, "How are you?" And it took me a while to understand, why are they asking me if I'm all right? Yes, I am all right. I'm not sick. So you know, those little things. When I got very comfortable in that new environment, I think that those were some of the pivotal moments. Going to Salesforce Tower, of course, was one of them, because I could see that big fish aquarium, and I was like, "Oh my god!" So yeah, lots of moments like that. And then when I moved to Dubai, this was recent. Like, this was after a lot of things I've already experienced. Um, I moved to Dubai because I knew somebody, and I knew somebody because of the work that I did. And you never know, you know, you're working with somebody, and few years later, they still remember the work that you did, or the kind of impact that you made. And that helped me move to Dubai. So it was like a personal little project I had, that I want to be closer to India. I manifested it. And then probably, you know, the universe just made it a way that, you know, somebody I remembered from work called me one day, and they were like, "Hey, we're looking for somebody." So um, yeah, I mean, to answer your questions, like, loads of pivotal moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope I've answered.
There's always lots, but like you said, Heathrow, that's the one that stands out by the most to you. And I think, you know, again, something that people will hear me say often is, it's often not what you know, it's about who knows what you know. So it's important that, you know, along the way you make acquaintances, you build relationships, you continuously learn. And I think that's something you're doing, which is in abundance. Something I was going to say on the back of our conversation is, have you been to the tower in Dubai?
The what's the Salesforce Tower in Dubai?
Yeah.
Oh yes, lots of times. We have friends there. My current office is just like 10 minutes away from there, so we have like weekly, monthly meetings with them. In fact, I speak to the Salesforce guys every week, and we have monthly coffee sessions. So
That's nice.
there was a time when going to
Sorry.
there was a time when I was gonna say there was a time when going to Salesforce office was like, oh my god, I'm going there, and now it's like, oh, okay, I'm going there. So it's definitely quite a transformation, I must say.
Amazing. And like you say, sometimes you just sit and go, wow, what happened? You know, so it's a really nice position, and you have done this. Anyone can do this, but you've done this on yourself. So, you know, I really congratulate you for everything you've done, because, you know, when I listen to you, you've built a career that combines both technical expertise and leadership. How has your role evolved over the years, and what skills have become increasingly important as you've progressed? And I suppose that's a good moment to add in the question about AI, and how has that transformed your career?
So, if I talk about the skills that mattered over the time, initially for me, you know, it was the hard skills, like the knowledge about Salesforce, the product, because I was supposed to recommend people. Because I was in consulting pretty much my whole career. So I had the job of giving the best solution and recommending the best solution to my clients. But over the time, I realized it's really not the hard skills, it's the soft skills.
Yeah.
It's your attitude to work, and it's the courage that you show. I've made stupid mistakes. I've made blunders, but I think what stood up, what really, you know, stayed with me was the fact that I owned the mistakes and I learned from them, and I took the courage to do it again.
Yeah.
For me now, because I said about soft skills, I was somebody who's a geeky, nerdy developer once, who liked to work in front of the black screen. But now I'm a people person. I was always, you know, outgoing and extrovert, and I like to speak to people. But when you are in a professional setting, how you break the ice, how you cut the noise, how you show empathy but still talk about business, I think that's a valuable skill I learned, especially during my time in Deloitte. Now if I'm speaking with my clients, I'd ask about how their kids are doing. I'd ask about what's their favorite color, and then I'll start talking about, because I think what matters is the personal connection you make. For example, you and I, Lynn, we have not spoken a lot, but I do want to know more about you, what you're doing, and that I feel helps me make a very special connection. So it's those soft skills that matters a lot. And now, I hire people. I always there's one thing I always look into them, which is what's their attitude. Everything is figure outable. Everything is doable. Do you have the right attitude to be able to do it? I think, again, it goes back to courage. Do you have the courage to do it or not? So yeah, those skills have always stayed with me.
And I think probably for you, the courage and the transformational journey that you've been on, that has built on your confidence, because that really shines. So, like I say, some people will sit and think, I can't do this. Imposter syndrome is huge everywhere. We know that. Yeah. But absolutely anyone can do anything they want to do if they put their mind for it. And you're testament to that. So, and like you say, you make these connections, you have a conversation. And whilst everything's online, it's just nice to know that, we may meet in person at some stage, and we'll know each other because we've already met. As I say, albeit online, it's always nice to meet in person. But just on the latter part of that question, I did say to you, is there anything that you would specifically say about how you're using AI. I mean, I don't need a lesson on AI. Just really to understand. Is there anything that you particularly have found on this journey using AI?
Yes, sorry, I missed that part. Yes, so
I asked too many
AI.
questions.
No, so about AI, see, I'm using it on my personal level, and we're using it as an organization.
Yeah.
In the Middle East specifically, there is a lot of hype about AI adoption, AI data servers. So it's not just a random buzz. I think Abu Dhabi, so our neighbor city, Abu Dhabi, they're going to be the first AI first city in few years time. So it's very much real. Now how we are using it, or what are the skills that I've learned on it, so I basically look after my functional practice in my organization. What does that mean? That means if I'm speaking to a client in a workshop, I make some notes, I go back home, or I go back in my office, and then I try to draw something out which is in the form of a process flow, or some sort of a diagram which will explain the client, this is what our understanding is, these are your business requirements, and these are some of the requirements in a user story format. And then we give it to the developers, and they go and take it ahead. And part of my other work that we do is also research and strategy formation, so helping clients think about what's their 3-year 5-year vision that they want to do and they want to go with. So both of these things require a lot of research, and we definitely use AI in that. There's definitely one conversation about AI being able to write your code, but there's also a separate conversation that I mainly look at is how can AI help us do better research? How can AI help us expedite our work? There's already, clients have started asking us questions around, if AI can do this for me, why do I need you guys? Why do I need consultants? And that's a question that we are answering ourselves as well, and we are keeping ourselves ready with the fact that probably client is going to ask this question again. And what we want to do is see the reduction in time that it takes from without using AI to now using AI. Is there, let's say, a 40% reduction in time? Is there like a 40% increase in productivity? What are some of the key KPIs that you can achieve, tangible KPIs that you can actually achieve, whether it's Claude, whether it's ChatGPT? I mean, of course, we don't use them for our client confidential documents. But yes, there are some AI policies that we have that we follow, and then we give our documents into the tool and ask it to, let's say, produce transcripts or read the transcripts of meeting notes and give us some tangible slides that we can create, preferred in a particular preferred branding. So these are some of the things that we are doing when it comes to AI. No doubt, I think in few years time, I mean, of course, there are real big comments that people are making that AI is going to wipe off the workforce and all of that. I don't totally believe in that, but yes, I am sure that every organization CEO is thinking of how they can improve the productivity and how they can improve revenue with the help of AI. So this is the direction that we are also going for.
Yeah, and I think you're so right. I think it's in my opinion, I think humans working alongside AI is the future, as opposed to it being either or. I think it's really important to see all of the milestones throughout the years, where you think about the Industrial Revolution and everyone thought that, machines were going to take over, but you needed
Yeah.
human to run it. And I think it's the empathetic side of it as well, which they don't get so good. And again, when you're talking about producing documents, it's all about the prompt and then about checking it afterwards. So I think the human element is so important. So yeah, I think this is probably a conversation we could have all day about AI. But I think in terms of when you think about people that are continuously learning, as we've spoken about, do you think progression is more about certifications or technical skills, or what qualities would you say are important? I mean, I suppose we have sort of covered that, but it'd just be nice to have a little bit of an understanding of your thoughts on whether people should get certifications. They need the technical skills, they need the empathetic side. What do you think is most important?
Over the time in my career, I realized it's a mix and a balance.
Yeah.
If you have all the 50, I don't know how many certs Salesforce has these days, but if you have, let's say, all 50 certs, but you don't know anything, that doesn't solve anything. On the other hand, if you do know a lot, um, it does it does help if you have certifications, because then you can prove your knowledge. You can say, look, I've taken these 6 7 certs to prove my knowledge, and that does add value in when you go for interviews, or when you're speaking uh, to stakeholders, business stakeholders, when you're speaking to your boss, it does add value, right?
Yeah.
It's, for me, it's always a mix. If, let's say, you've done a service cloud project, best to do a certification. If you've done some admin work, best to do an admin certificate. But one of the things that remains constant, whether you do either or both, is having the empathy. So whoever is the business user who's going to be using Salesforce at the end of the day, always think in their shoes, always think from their eyes. If there's a sales guy who's never going to put that opportunity information because you have made it so difficult to add fields, best not do that. Think of ways, because as I am somebody who has been into tech, and now I've moved into business analysis. So for me, I'm always thinking of the business user. What do they want, and how can we give value to them? How can we make the maximum business impact? That comes from a mix of certs that I did, work that I did, and the empathy that I carry so that I can help them.
Yeah, it's really good. And I suppose along your journey, I mean, there's always going to be valuable lessons that you get along your career. But is there any particular setbacks or challenges that have really taught you lessons? And I know that you said that when nothing is incorrect, because if you get it wrong, you've learned for next time. But is there anything particular that stands out in your mind?
So there was one particular incident. I've been a debater, and I'm very comfortable speaking in front of the stage and having conversations when I was growing up, especially in my school and college life. But when I moved to the UK, the initial few years were very tough, because it's a cultural change, and because my role was different. And I remember I had to give a presentation, and when you're talking to somebody, you have to make sure you give the right context.
Yeah.
And I didn't do that, and there were actually two incidents. In one of them, I just spoke something. I think I was rambling, and my supervisor, and it was actually a business stakeholder, very important business stakeholder, and my supervisor wanted to give me a chance, so she gave me the opportunity to lead that meeting. And I think I messed up big time. And I was not proud of myself, of course, but she sat me down, and she had a similar journey as me, but she was way ahead of me, and she could understand where I was coming from. And she was like, Garima, when you speak, it feels like you are puking, you're vomiting. And she was like, yeah, like you do like this. Oh my god, that was so embarrassing. It was like, oh my god, what have I done? And then immediate, and then I took the feedback. I worked on it, and then I think immediately after that, maybe a few months ago, I think I was in Bermuda giving a client presentation, and I couldn't speak anything. I don't know why. I was shivering. I was in a bad state. I don't know what happened, whether I was jet lagged or whether I was missing home, because I was there in Bermuda for a very long time. And again, that same thing happened. And this was this another supervisor, partner in the organization, and she was like, I think I need to tell you something. You were horrible in that meeting. So I appreciate those ladies giving me honest feedback. But what I did basically was I flew down to London. That was, where I was living, and then I joined the Toastmasters, and that's a way of helping you speak. It's like it's also a community where people just come over, they speak, they evaluate you, and they help you improve your speaking skills. And I did that for 6 months, and I actually won awards there. And I sent screenshots of those awards back to my old supervisors, and I was like, "Look, I'm better. Please give me more opportunities." And they did give me more opportunities, and I got better. So now, if I have to speak in front of anybody, I know that at least there's one thing that I'll not fail at, which is being able to strike a conversation. So, yeah, those two moments, they really taught me a lot.
And again, you talk about that. I think life is all about stepping outside of your comfort zone, doing things that you haven't done before. They might feel uncomfortable, but again, you are proof, you are testament that you can absolutely do this. And I think as well, where you found that there's been a setback, whatever that's been, you've then learned how to do it properly. So I think it's, like I say, it's all about the lifelong learning, isn't it? And I suppose that would lead me to maybe asking you about other people who are perhaps feeling stuck in their careers, and they're not unsure, they're unsure what to do next. And I mean, throughout your career, you have been clearly there to help and support other people, which, like I say, is just amazing for you to do that and to give back. But what would you say, I suppose, are the common challenges that you see when people are trying to progress into the ecosystem? I mean, is there any advice that you'd give people?
I would say be courageous enough to make mistakes. It's okay, you'll learn it. And also,
You're popular.
always have no, no, not that. Somebody is calling me, yeah. But other than being courageous and being able to make mistakes, make sure to be thick-skinned, because I mean, I don't know who the audience is. I assume because it's Supermums, majorly it's going to be women, and women have different challenges than men. What I've felt is that not taking things personally helped me a lot. If somebody made a comment, whether it was, on my gender, on my skin color, or the way I speak, or where I come from, um, I used to get impacted a lot. And over the time, I've realized that I can only prove by my work. Other than that, there's no other way. I can always answer back, but that sometimes make things very complicated. I can report things, yes, of course, but in the longer term, what really helps is having a thick skin. If things are not working today, if I made a mistake, figure out a way to fix it, how to progress, rather than sitting on it in shit, in feeling spoiled or dirty. Just go out, pick yourself up, and be courageous again, and be thick skinned.
I love that. And I think that's something that I grew up with. My mum, that was a saying my mum always used to say, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get on with it.
Yeah,
That's something
yeah,
I
I mean,
really mum saying.
I think after COVID, we've all started focusing on our mental health. And, you're feeling something, so yeah, you're allowed to feel. I'm not saying don't feel what you're, don't disregard your feelings, but yeah, once you've settled, once you've thought about things, then again pick yourself up, like you said, and then find what's way forward. Don't think about the past. Don't read your book backwards. Just try to look in the future. That helps a lot.
That's really good advice. So, from all of the listeners out there, or the people that are watching today, um, I think there's been, some really fantastic insights in there, Garima. I think it's really great. You're juggling your life. I can hear your, I didn't say son. Is that your son or your daughter? Did you say?
That's my son. My very naughty son is around when I'm working from home. He works with me.
But, this is the beauty of Supermums, isn't it? We often see, children around, and sometimes they come on our calls with us, which is lovely. I am very fortunate to have 3 beautiful granddaughters, so I don't have all the, I want to say obligations, but that doesn't really sound right as a mum. That's probably not the right word. But you have so much to juggle. I no longer have the juggle. I just get the joy, which is really nice.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You can always give them back to the parents and you can have all the fun with them. I know what you mean. So, yeah.
Exactly. But, like I say, you've been really insightful. You've been so inspirational today. I'm sure anyone watching will absolutely love to hear this and love to hear about your story. We all love a story. But if we're thinking about wrapping up, I always like to finish up with one final question. If you could give one piece of advice to someone who is at your very beginning, starting out on their Salesforce journey today, what would that be?
Take that plunge, take that challenge, be courageous. You're worth it. You're going to get there. If I can do it, anybody can.
I love it. Yeah, absolutely. You're worth it. I love that. I absolutely love that. So from my side, thank you again. We so appreciate all of our community champions at Supermums and our mentors. We appreciate everyone that is out there trying to give back and trying to help and support other people, either getting into the industry or on their journey in their, in their job. So, thank you so much for everything you're doing. I know that, like I say, the audience are going to take so much away from this. My takeaway is you're worth it. I love that. I absolutely love that. So thank you everyone for joining for this Wednesday Live at 5. It's been really great to spend some time with you. Next week, we will be spotlighting another of our community champions. So keep an eye out for that and for future sessions. But would you like to say anything to finish up?
Love yourself.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, that's really nice. And again, take care, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you being with us. So take care. Find Garima on LinkedIn is always nice. Maybe if you've got a question for her specifically, you could send that to her because she's there to help you. So it's really great. That's what I love about the community is everyone wants to help and support each other. But once again, thank you very much, Garima, for joining me today.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lynn.
And I'll see you next week. Take care.